A family was slapped by a massive fee by the US government after the unimaginable happens while on their cruise. And today, we have that story.
JJ Cruise.
Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Jordan, or should I say buongiorno from Italy. Jared and I are here in Milan, Italy, getting ready to take our very first ever European river cruise. It's actually our first ever river cruise that we've ever done. We've got about 35 of our JJ crew over here in Europe with us, and we will be heading over to Zurich where we will board a river cruise that will take us up to Amsterdam. We are so excited about this river cruise, and we want to share it with all of you. So if you're following us here on YouTube, definitely stay tuned because we're going to be sharing a lot of content, our full review, we'll show off our cabin, what is a river cruise like, and we'll also be sharing a lot over on our Instagram. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button here, and then over on Instagram at Cruise with JJ, you can follow us there for lots of updates, and we'll get you in the holiday mood as we take off on our first ever river cruise this coming weekend. I'm going to hop right into the story, and I do just want to say that my heart goes out to this family because this is absolutely one of those worst case scenario situations, and I feel absolutely terrible for this family. But I want to hear what you think of this, so definitely let me know in the comments what you think of today's story. On a Sunday, a family took their cruise out of New Orleans. This was a 7-night New Orleans cruise, first stopping at Key West and then going on to the Bahamas, I believe Nassau and Freeport, and then going back to New Orleans. By Sunday night, one of their children unfortunately came down with what it seemed like was seasickness. The child was really, really sick, very ill, and they were giving him a lot of seasickness medications. And over the first 48 hours of the cruise, the child was not seeming to improve, but just getting sicker and sicker. The family consulted with the medical team on board, and the medical team said, all that we can really do is give them the same medication that you're giving him, or we could pump him full of fluids. Well, as you know, going to a medical unit while on a ship can be extremely costly. Even getting an IV and getting liquids through an IV can cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you don't have travel insurance. So this family had to make a very quick decision. They knew the first stop, which was on Tuesday, was going to be Key West, and after that, they were going on to Nassau and Freeport. By cruise line standards, you do not have to have passports to travel on closed loop cruises. That means on a cruise that leaves out of New Orleans and goes back to New Orleans, you don't need a passport. All you need are birth certificates, and then for those 16 and older, a government issued ID like a driver's license. So this family did not have passports, which meant their child was very, very sick on board, and they knew that the child would possibly need additional medical care. So they could get off at the first stop in Key West, or they could wait until they got to the Bahamas. But if they had to get their child off in the Bahamas to get their kid to a hospital, they didn't have passports to get back into the United States, which meant they could be stuck there in the Bahamas for a very long time until they went through the process to work with the United States Embassy to get them back home. That, however, was not the only hurdle that they were facing. There is this thing called the Passenger Service Vessel Act, or the Jones Act. We've talked about it here on the channel. If you follow cruise news, you know a lot about this Jones Act. It pretty much states that foreign ships, which are pretty much all cruise ships, when leaving a U.S. port, have to go to a foreign port before returning back to the U.S. port. And that includes all of the people on the ship. If you get on in New Orleans, you got to go to the Bahamas before you can come back and get off in New Orleans. Otherwise, you can be slapped with a massive fine. So the family thought, we'll just get off in Key West and get our child to a hospital to make sure that they're taken care of and feel better. And upon going and speaking to guest services let them know that they would have to pay about a $940 fine per person that the cruise line gets slapped with when they let people off the ship early in another U.S. port. Keep in mind, the ship hadn't gone to a foreign port yet, so it was going from New Orleans to Key West and then on to the Bahamas, which means there would be fines for anyone that would get off the ship in Key West. If you happen to just miss the ship and don't get back on the ship, Carnival would also take on fines for you that they would then pass on to you from the US government for not following the Jones Act. Well, of course, if I was these parents, I would be in the exact same mind frame as them. They needed to do whatever they had to do to make sure that their child was safe, cared for, and healthy. So this family of 4 had to split up. The mother and the sick son got off the ship in Key West and went straight to the hospital, and thankfully the child has recovered and the family is back home, while the father and the other child stayed on the ship and took the rest of the cruise. That had to be so hard for everyone involved. As a parent, I'm sure if you were stuck on the ship, you wanted to be with your child that's in the hospital. If you're the parent in the hospital, I'm sure you just wanted your partner there to be able to take a break or go get some food or get a good night's sleep. This is truly one of those unimaginable situations that you never ever hope to find yourself in when you are traveling internationally. In the comments of that post, which there are many, there's a lot of people speculating on what could happen next. The family could possibly file an appeal and get the money back since the child was sick and it was technically a medical emergency. Others think if the family had travel protection, they would be able to get that fine back very easily. I know this, when it comes to fines from the US government, it doesn't seem like anything is easy in terms of getting your money back from the United States. This situation is, of course, why Jared and I always recommend that you travel with a passport outside of the country. The family then could have possibly gotten off in the Bahamas and gotten some medical care there, but the cruise lines don't require that. So honestly, you can't put this on the family when the cruise lines say, hey, you can come on board, you can cruise without a passport, you can just cruise with your birth certificate and your government issued ID, but for those of us that have cruised a long time, we know that you never know what can happen. Things can happen that are unexpected, medical emergencies. You could fall and break a bone and have to get medical care off the ship. There's just so many unknown things that could happen, so it's always very important to travel with your passport. Again, my heart goes out to this family. Please let us know what you think of this story in the comments, but please keep it kind and respectful because this family had a true nightmare scenario on their vacation, and no one deserves to have to be put through that while they're just trying to enjoy a little holiday away from home. Well, that was the story today. Again, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for all these videos on our river cruise. My name is Jordan. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day, and until next time, see ya.